Hello everyone. Just let me know whether my screen is visible and my voice is clearly audible to you or not. Okay, thank you. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes, then we will start our today's discussion. Okay, so good morning. In the last session, we have concluded actually unit number 5. We have seen different types of flip-flops and we have established that flip-flops are nothing but the basic building block of any sequential circuit. Okay, so we have seen 4 different types of flip-flops: SR flip-flop, JK flip-flop, D flip-flop, and T flip-flop. Okay, so we will use these all 4 types of flip-flops in our unit number 6, most of which I think we will be using D flip-flop and only T flip-flop. So we already covered it in great detail in the last session itself. So today we will start this our discussion regarding unit number 6, that is sequential circuits. Okay. So these are the contents in your given in your syllabus. The first point is difference between asynchronous and synchronous sequential circuits. Then second point is in your syllabus asynchronous counters. So in asynchronous counter there are three types of counters we will be discussing: up counter, down counter, and mod counter. Then we will see what are the shift registers, different shift registers, and their working. So these are four types of registers: serial in, serial out, serial in, parallel out, parallel in, serial out, and parallel in, parallel out. So we will see that. And the last point of unit number 6 is application of shift register as a ring counter. Okay. So these are the contents, and this will be also the flow of our discussion. So let's get started with the point number 1, that is the difference between asynchronous and synchronous sequential circuit. Okay, so in earlier lecture, that is in I think unit number 5, we have already discussed what are the differences between combinational and sequential circuit. Okay, so whatever we have discussed in 1.5 unit of digital part, that is fourth unit complete, and then half of the fifth unit, all these circuits such as half adder, mux, full adder, demux, decoder, all these were combinational circuits. Okay, so if you observe all the circuit diagrams, there was no clock we have used there. No clock have been used there. So that's why it was nothing but combinational circuit. Again, what is the main difference between combination and sequential? In sequential, memory is used. Memory units are required. But in combinational, there is no memory unit. Okay. Now we are moving towards the sequential circuits. So sequential circuit will start from, in your syllabus, sequential circuits will start from flip-flops. So half of the unit number 5 will be your sequential circuit and complete unit number 6. Okay. So 1.5 unit is dedicated to combinational circuits and 1.5 unit is dedicated to sequential circuits. Now in sequential circuit, there are again the classification has been done. Okay, so we will see this classification. So sequential circuit are basically, it will be synchronous or asynchronous. So what are the differences between actually synchronous and asynchronous sequential circuits? So these are the quite few differences which I have mentioned in this slide. So we will go through it one by one. The first is, in synchronous circuits, memory elements are clocked flip-flops. Okay, so clocked flip-flop is the keyword here. In synchronous circuits, memory elements are clocked flip-flop, whereas in asynchronous circuits, memory elements are either unclocked flip-flop or time delay elements. Okay, so basically in sequential circuit, what will happen? One common clock will be there, and complete circuit will work on that clock only. What do you mean by clock? So we have seen in earlier few topics as well that clock signal is nothing but, we'll just try to draw here, it is nothing but square wave with duty cycle equals to 50%. So this is simple clock cycle we will be using. And why clocks are necessary? Because these clocks will tell you when your circuit will be functioning. So it acts as a timekeeping for your circuit. It also determines the speed of your circuit, right? So that's why these clocks are very important. You might have heard that whenever you're discussing the different parameters of your computer or laptop, then there is one parameter, okay, clock frequency or the microprocessor frequency. So that is basically a clock. And if you observe that clock is basically its unit in gigahertz. Okay, so you can observe that gigahertz nothing but 10 raised to power 9. That means in 1 second, 10 raised to power 9 cycles have been repeating. So this is nothing but a speed you can determine. Okay, from clock cycles you can determine the speed of your circuit. Okay, so clocks are very important in the sequential circuit, of course, but when you are applying the clocks simultaneously to your circuit, that means your complete circuit will act only when the clock is given, then that circuit will be called as synchronous circuit. Okay, synchronous is nothing but all activity will be happening at a particular moment. Similarly, asynchronous means different parameters or different circuits in your or different circuits in your block or different sub circuits, you can say that. So they will act accordingly. They will act accordingly their own, you can say, inputs. They will change asynchronous sequential circuit. They will not depend on the clock itself. Different parameters in the asynchronous sequential circuit. We will see after a while the example of asynchronous sequential circuit. Different parts of this asynchronous sequential circuit will function at different time. But in synchronous sequential circuit, all parts will function at given clock only. Okay. So this is nothing but this is the major difference between synchronous and asynchronous circuit. Okay. Then there is second point. The transition from the one state to another state takes place only by the application of specified clock signal, even if inputs change. Now again, this point is very important. So just read it carefully that the transition from one state to another state. Now we know in digital circuit there are two states possible. Okay, high state, that is level 1, and low state, that is level 0. So the transition from one state to another state will take place only when specified clock signal will be applied. Okay, if your inputs have been changed, let's say A equals to 0 and B equals to 0. Okay, and then one of the inputs, suppose A is now changing from 0 to 1, then depending on that, what should be your output? Your output should change when your inputs are changing. But the key point to be remembered here, that the output will change only when you are giving clock signal to it. Without clock signal, the output will not change. This is an important point. That means transition from one state to another state will take place only when you are applying a specified clock signal. But in case of asynchronous sequential circuits, the transition from one state to another state will take place immediately. It will not wait for the clock signal. Okay, transition will take place immediately as soon as your inputs are changing. But in synchronous, what is happening? Even if your inputs are changing, you have to wait for the clock signal, because all the activities are in synchronous state. Okay, so this is again important difference. Then third one is the maximum operating frequency or the maximum operating speed of clock depends on the time delays involved. Okay. And in asynchronous circuit, what happens? Because of the absence of clock, since there is no clock, and your output can change immediately once the inputs are changed. So what happens? Asynchronous circuit can operate faster than the synchronous circuit. It does not have to wait for the clock. In asynchronous, it is not waiting for the clock to happen. So that's why asynchronous sequential circuits are quite faster than synchronous circuits. Okay. In case of synchronous circuit, the maximum operating speed is depend on the clock speed. Okay, so out of these two, comparatively, asynchronous sequential circuits are quite more faster. Then fourth point is about design. So synchronous circuits are quite easier to design, whereas asynchronous is more difficult to design. Okay. Then fifth one is synchronous sequential circuits, since these synchronous sequential circuits are the activities in these particular circuits are happening in a synchronous way, so that's why these are quite predictable and reliable. You can trust this circuit, okay, and you can also predict the output also. So these synchronous sequential circuits are quite predictable and reliable because nothing is random here. All states, all movements, or all activities are happening in synchronization. So that's why these are predictable and reliable. Whereas in asynchronous sequential, there are chances of the asynchronous circuit to enter in the wrong state. Okay, since there is no synchronous behavior here, that's why there are chances that asynchronous circuit might in the wrong state. Okay, then the last point is synchronous sequential circuit consume large power and dissipates large amount of heat as compared to asynchronous sequential circuit. Power consumption and heat dissipation are comparatively lower. Okay. So these are very important differences between synchronous sequential circuit and asynchronous sequential circuit. You have to remember all these differences. Now we will discuss the asynchronous sequential circuits actually. In your syllabus, there is also one example of a synchronous circuit as well. We will see. So this is regarding the difference between synchronous and asynchronous sequential circuit. Then the next part is, in your syllabus, there is asynchronous counters. So obviously, as its name indicates, this circuit will be asynchronous sequential circuit because already asynchronous is given written here. Okay. Asynchronous counter. Now we will see what do you mean by counters and what are the different types of counters. We will see one by one. So a digital counter is a set of flip-flops whose state changes in response to the pulses applied at the input to the counter. Okay, that means your counter will be one, let's say this is my one block I have drawn, and suppose this is my counter. So how will it function? So suppose you have applied one clock here. Let's say CLK stands for signal. So what is the function of this circuit, this block, is to count the pulses which are applied as the clock. Okay, so suppose you are applying these two pulses. So the output of this counter should be 2. The output of this counter should be 2. Why? Because only 2 pulses have been applied to the clock signal. If I applied more number of pulses, let's say I have applied 4 total pulses to the clock terminal, then the output of this counter should be 4. So the simple function of this counter circuit is it will count the pulses which are applied as a clock signal. Okay, I hope you have understood this particular definition of counter. It is very simple. What is the function of counter? It will simply count the number of pulses, right? Number of pulses which are applied to the clock signal. Okay. So in this actually block, what are there? Different flip-flops are interconnected such that combined state at any time is a binary equivalent of number of pulses that have occurred up to that time. I'm reading it one more time. So what is actually counter? So in counter, what are the components used in counter? Nothing but flip-flops. Different flip-flops we are using, and these flip-flops are interconnected in such a way that their combined state. So we know that the state of flip-flop will be either 1 or 0, right? So suppose you are using 2 flip-flops or 3 flip-flops. So when you observe the combined state of their flip-flops, all the flip-flops, then that state will give you the equivalent, binary equivalent of total number of pulses, binary equivalent of total number of pulses that have occurred up to that time. Thus, as its name implies, a counter is used to count pulses. Just remember that. How will it give you count? Obviously, the count will be given in the binary equivalent form. So suppose 4 pulses I have applied in the input, the output should be 4. But in case of binary, so binary 4 is nothing but 1 0 0, like this. Okay, so we will see how it works actually. So just for now, just remember the counters used to the pulses, and these pulses are given at the clock signal. Is it fine? Have you understand the definition of counter? Give me your feedback in the chat box so that I can move forward. Just let me know whether you have understood the concept of counter. What do you mean by counter? Okay, so I got quite a few replies. All right. Now, the counters may be again asynchronous or synchronous. Okay. Counter is also one of the sequential circuit only. So again, just like we have seen in the earlier slide, that any sequential circuit can be asynchronous as well as synchronous. These are the types of sequential circuit. So counter is also one of the sequential circuit only. So again, counter may be of two types, asynchronous or synchronous. Now, when you observe the flip-flops are not triggered simultaneously, we will call the counter as asynchronous counter. Okay, that means you understood, right? Suppose let's assume one T flip-flop, just for the sake of understanding. One block I am drawing, and it is, let's say, T flip-flop. So how many inputs are there for T flip-flop, and how many outputs are there? Reply. T flip-flop, how many inputs and how many outputs will be there? Yes. So output, we know that every flip-flop will have two outputs only, Q and Q bar. Okay, both are complements of each other, and the input will be only one. One input will be T, that is toggle input, and another input. It is not actually input, but we will call it as a clock. Okay, so this is another input. So T and clock, these are the inputs to this T flip-flop. Okay, so if let's, for the sake of understanding, in my counter circuit, there are 3 T flip-flops I have used. Okay, there are 3 flip-flops I have used, and if you observe that the clock signal of all the 3 flip-flops are connected together. Okay, if clock signal or clock terminal of all 3 flip-flops are connected together, that means this counter will be synchronous counter, right? When all the clock terminals of all these flip-flops are connected together, then that counter will be called as synchronous counter. That means flip-flops in this synchronous will trigger simultaneously. Simultaneously, you are applying clock to all the three flip-flops. Okay, so whenever you want to decide whether your counter is asynchronous or synchronous, what will you do? You will observe whether clock terminal of all the flip-flops are connected together or they are not connected together. If they are connected together, that means they are triggered simultaneously. That means they are synchronous counter. Okay. And if you observe that clock terminals of all the flip-flops are not connected together, then we will call it as a asynchronous counter. Okay, that means flip-flops are not triggered simultaneously. That means different flip-flop will trigger at different time. So there is no synchronization here. Okay, so it will be getting, it will get more clear once we start with the asynchronous counter. So just now understand that synchronous means all flip-flops will trigger simultaneously, and asynchronous means flip-flops are not triggered simultaneously. Okay, so since our topic is asynchronous counter, we will focus more on the asynchronous counter. So asynchronous counter are also called as ripple counters. Remember that. Many times if in examination they have asked you explain the working of 4-bit ripple counter, that means you have to explain the working of 4-bit asynchronous counter. These are the simplest type of counters and easiest to design and require least amount of hardware. Okay. Then asynchronous counter uses T flip-flops. While discussing T flip-flops itself, I have told you that we will be using these T flip-flops in the next unit. So in asynchronous counter, we will use T flip-flop to perform counting operations. Because what is the function of counter? It is nothing but it is used to count the operations. Number of pulses it will count. But we know that T flip-flop is nothing but actually JK flip-flop. You know how we have modified the T flip-flop? In JK flip-flop, what we have done? We have just connected J and K terminal together, and one terminal we have taken it as a common, and that terminal we have named it as a T. Right? So basically, T flip-flop is nothing but a JK flip-flop only. So the actual hardware used is usually JK flip-flop connected in toggle mode. That is, connected in toggle mode means when T equals to 1. We have seen T flip-flop. The working of T flip-flop is in, since it is having only one input, T input. Okay. So how many possible combinations will be there? Either T will be equal to 0 or T will be equal to 1. When T equals to 0, then what happens? At the output, you are getting no change. That means whatever is their previous in output, when T equals to 0, that means the next output will be also same. But when your T equals to 1, that when your flip-flop is in toggle mode, happens, the current output will be the form of your previous output. If your previous output is 0, next output will be 1. If your previous output is 1, then next output will be 0. Okay, so this is the toggle mode. So just remember this point, and this is very important, that we are operating our T flip-flop in asynchronous counter in toggle mode. That means we are always making sure that T equals to 1. Okay, so we know that T is nothing but J and K connected together. So J and K are connected to logic 1. This point you should remember throughout the discussion of the counter, that we are using T flip-flop as a counter, but in which mode? In toggle mode. That means T should be always kept high. Okay. So these are few important points of the asynchronous counters. Now again, a counter may be an up counter or down counter. Okay. So either you can count for starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, or you can also count from reverse. If I have to count from 1 to 10, then what are the different types in which I can count? Either I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or the other way is you can count in downward direction. That means starting from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in this way. Okay. So what do you mean by up counter? It is pretty much obvious that a counter which counts in upward direction, it is called as up counter. That is the counter which starts its count from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, whatever is your last count. So an up counter is a counter which counts in the upward direction, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, that's up to n. Whereas what will be the down counter? So down counter is basically a counter which counts in the downward direction. Okay, very simple. We'll be discussing both up counter as well as down counter. And each of the counts of the counter is called as state of the counter. Now this point is very important again. So each of the counts of the counter is called as state of the counter. The number of states through which counter passes before returning to starting state. It is called as modulus of counter. Just for the sake of understanding, suppose I have a counter which is counting from 1 to, after 10, what is happening? It is again from 1. So I have a counter which will count only 10 states, because each count, what we have called, each count of counter is called as the state of counter. So total 10 states of the counter are there. Okay, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But when someone asks you what is the modulus of this counter, then what is the answer? You can read the definition of the modulus of counter, that the number of states through which counter passes before returning to starting state. So how many number of states this counter is actually counting from 1 to 10? Anyone? How many states it is counting from 1 to 10? So each count we have called it as a state. So total 10 states it is counting. So this counter is also known as, or the modulus of this counter, it will be 10. And this counter will be also known as mod 10 counter. Okay, we have taken first 3 letters of the modulus. So the modulus of counter will be 10, or in other words, you call that this counter is also mod. Okay, so the modulus of counter is equals to the total number of count. So remember that modulus of counter is nothing but it is equals to total number of count. So if your counter is counting 4 counts total, then the modulus of counter will be 4. All right. So for example, suppose there is a 2-bit counter. Okay. So 2-bit will have 4 states. So generally the relation between the number of bit and total state will be again 2 raised to power n, where n is nothing but number of bit. Suppose your counter is 2-bit counter, then possible combinations or possible states will be 2 raised to 2, that is 4. Okay. So for example, 2-bit counter has 4 states, and hence it will also called as mod 4 counter. Okay. Similarly, 3-bit counter is called as mod 8 counter. Why? Because what will be the how many total states will be there? For 3-bit counter, 2 raised to power n. Here n equals to 3. For 3-bit, n equals to 3. So total possible states will be 2 raised to 3, that is 8. So 3-bit counter is also called as mod 8 counter. And 4-bit counter will be called as mod 16 counter. Like that. Okay. So this point is again very important, that in general, so n-bit counters, what it tells you, suppose someone have given you that my counter is 5-bit, let's say. Okay, so when your counter is, let's say, n-bit or 5-bit, for the sake of example, we are considering n5. Then always remember that in that counter, how many flip-flops will be used? N flip-flops. That means for 5-bit counter, how many flip-flops will be using? T flip-flops. How many T flip-flops will be using? 5. Okay. And how many states will it have? The total number of states will be 2 raised to power n. In this case, 2 raised to power 5, that is 32. Okay, so this note is very important, that in general the n-bit counter will have n number of flip-flops and 2 raised to power n states. Okay, so these are the basics of the asynchronous counter. Now we will actually discuss the basic type of counter is 2-bit up counter. Okay, so until this point, if you are having any doubt, then you can ask me. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes here, and then we'll start our discussion with the 2-bit up counter. Okay, so I hope there is no query. We shall proceed. So now we will discuss the very simple type of up counter, that is 2-bit up counter. From name itself, you can tell so many things. So first thing you can tell from 2 bits, the 2-bit up counter, how many total number of states will be there? Bit up counter. That means how many possibly maximum count it can count? 2 raised to power n. Okay. Here n is nothing but 2. So 2 raised to power 2 will be 4. So maximum count will be 4 in case of this counter. Means it will start from 0, then 1, 2, 3, and it will reset to at the 4th count. Okay. So how many counts? So first count will be 0. It will count 0, then 1, then 2, and finally 3. After that, it will again reset to 0. Okay. So, and again from 2-bit. Okay. So since it is 2-bit, how many number of flip-flops it will use? You can observe here only 2. If there is 3-bit, then there will be 3 flip-flops used. If there is 4-bit, then 4, 5-bit, then 5, and so on. Okay. And again, since it is up counter, it will count in upward direction. अगर डाउनवर्ड काउंटर होता तो डाउन काउंटर होता तो it might have started from 3 2 1 0, then again 3 2 1 0, like that. All right. So the logic diagram of 2-bit ripple up counter is shown in the figure. So this is basically a logic diagram of the 2-bit up counter. So in this diagram, you can observe two toggle flip-flops are used. So this flip-flop A is nothing but first toggle flip-flop. So its input, you can observe, was actually J. Internally it is J and K. So T flip-flop is nothing but what we are doing. We are connecting J and K together. You can observe here J and K are connected together and one common input is drawn, that is T input. So since it is flip-flop A, we have termed it as a T suffix A. Similarly here it is flip-flop B, then it is termed as, or it is denoted as, T suffix B. Okay. External clock is applied to the clock input of flip-flop A. Now this clock is external clock. Okay. So this is applied to this flip-flop A, first flip-flop. Now if I ask you that whether flip-flop is synchronous whether this counter is synchronous counter or asynchronous counter, then how will you approach this particular diagram? I have already told you, if you have to identify whether this counter is synchronous or asynchronous, what will you do? You will first observe the clock inputs of all the flip-flops. Okay, so here it is first clock input and here it is second clock input. Now tell me one thing, whether these two clocks are connected together or not. Are these two clock inputs, are these inputs connected together, this clock and this clock? What are your observations? Just let me know. Just type yes or no in the chat box. Whether this clock, okay, and this clock terminal, are these two terminals or are these two pins connected together or not? No, no. Are they connected together? Is there physical connection? There is no physical connection actually. Okay. It is, this clock is connected to the output of first flip-flop. This QA is nothing but the output of first flip-flop. There is no direct connection between this clock and this clock. Okay, is there any connection? No. So since there is no connection, our counter will be asynchronous counter. Now, you can observe here, just again I will erase this. Don't get confused. So this clock is actually our external clock. So external clock is applied to flip-flop 1. And for flip-flop A, the QA is the output of flip-flop A. The output of flip-flop A, if you observe, it is given as the clock input to flip-flop B. So there is no connection between the clock input of the flip-flop B and clock input of the flip-flop A. There is no physical connection. So that's why it is asynchronous counter. Okay. Similarly, the flip-flop B will have output as Q suffix B. Now here we have not shown the second output because we already know whatever is the output QA, the second will be its complement only, right? Anyway, you can denote it as QA bar like this. And again, this output will be QB bar. But in this circuit diagram, there is actually no need. So that's why it is not shown. But it will be there. Okay. So I hope you have understood this circuit. Simple two flip-flops are used. Both flip-flops are nothing but T flip-flops. This connection is very important, that the output of first flip-flop is given as a clock to the second flip-flop. This is very important connection. Okay. And then what we have done, the QA we have taken it outside this connection, and again QB is nothing but output. And we will write this particular count as QB QA. So always remember QB will be your most significant bit, MSB. QB will be most significant bit and QA will be least significant bit. Okay. And what will be the value of QB and QA? We know it will be either 0 or 1. Alright. Okay. Now another important thing is, if you have observed this diagram carefully, then there is one circle is there. Okay, so actually if it is only like this, then it is a simple clock, and if it is circle is there. Okay, so this is the difference. You might have observed this. So both these flip-flops are nothing but, what it indicates, that this circle is nothing but these flip-flops are negatively age triggered. Now what do you mean by negatively age triggered? It means the flip-flop will change its state only at the negative edge of the clock. Okay, flip-flop will change its state only at the negative edge of clock. So we know our clock looks like this. This is nothing but a square wave, let's say. So flip-flop will change its state. Change its state means either QA will be from 0 to 1, it will change from either 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. But since it is negatively age triggered, that means this change will occur only at the negative edge of the clock pulse. So if you observe, this is nothing but positive edge, because your clock is varying from 0 to 1, and this is nothing but your negative edge. That means when your clock is switching from 1 to 0, then it is called as negative edge. Okay, so if there is no circle there, then that means clock will be positive edge triggered, and if it is, this symbol is there. Okay, so there is a small circle and then triangle, and that means it is negatively edge triggered. That means whatever the activity is taking place in this circuit, it will be only at this edge, only at this particular instant. Okay, just remember like this for now. It will be more clear to you once we started the discussion. So this is again important thing, that both flip-flops negatively edge triggered. That is, it will change its state only when the negative edge of the clock is applied. Okay, again I am repeating, this is the logic diagram of 2-bit counter. The connection is this. The output of first counter is connected as clock of the second input. Okay, and second important thing is, these flip-flops are negatively age triggered. Now we will work. Let's initially we will discuss what are the operations. So initially, let that both flip-flops will be in reset state. We have seen flip-flops. Know what do you mean by reset state and set state? So when normal output, that is Q, when 0, then we will call it as a reset state, and when Q equals to 1, then we will call it as a set state. So initially what we initially we have both flip-flops are in reset state, and we have also taken that QB, that means the output of flip-flop is nothing but MSB, most significant bit. Hence we are writing this as QB QA. Okay, so hence QB QA for now becomes 0 0 initially. Now what happens, as soon as first negative clock edge is applied, as soon as first negative clock edge is applied, flip will toggle and will be equal to 1. Now we know that we have used our T flip-flop toggle mode. Okay, so as soon as the clock is applied, in this case negative edge is applied, what will happen? This flip-flop will toggle its state. Now initially, what was the value of QA? It was, initially we have assumed QB QA are 0 0. Soon as the negative clock edge is applied, what will happen? This will toggle from 0 to 1. Okay, so QA will be toggling from 0 to 1. And if you observe the QA, let's go to the earlier slide. Okay, so what happened, as soon as it is applied, we have already kept TA high, that is at logic 1. That means we are operating our T flip-flop mode. So what will happen in toggle mode? Whatever is the initial previous value of this output of your flip-flop, suppose initially it is 0, then what will be its next output? It will be 1. Previous it is 1, then the next will be 0, and so on. You can observe both these are operating in toggle mode. Initially what we have assumed that is 0 and QB is also 0. Okay, so this QA is nothing but this QA only been drawn here. Now what happens at the first arrival of, let's say, first pulse at this negative edge? What happens? This will change its state 0 to 1. Okay, now from 0 to 1 is nothing but, initially it was 0, QA was 0, is 1. So now this output, QA output, is connected or is given to the clock of the second flip-flop. Now this is very crucial and you should understand it. For flip-flop B, the clock signal, it is not this signal. This is the clock for flip-flop A. But the output of flip-flop A, that is QA, now QA is the clock to the flip-flop B. But we know that flip-flop B is negative trigger. It will change its state only when negative edge is applied. But if you observe this QA, just I have drawn this, is there any negative edge? Initially output was 0, now it is 1. So there is no negative edge. No negative edge means there will be no change in the your flip flop B. आपको ये negative change चाहिए, okay? This negative change has flip flop will change its state. Since there is no negative edge, because right now initially the value of QA was 0, it becomes 1. Now when it again becomes 0, then there will be negative edge. Okay, so hence the now new value of QA will be 1, but QB will be remaining at 0 only. So our count QB, QA will be 0, 1. Same thing I have explained here. I will just read it for you guys. Okay, as soon as first negative edge clock edge is applied, the flip-flop A will toggle from 0 to 1. Now the output of flip-flop A will be 1. There is no issue in that. But QA is connected to the clock input of flip-flop B. Okay. Since QA has changed from 0 to 1, it is treated as a positive clock edge by flip-flop B. It is treated as a positive clock edge. But our flip-flop is negative clock edge. Negatively edge triggered है अपना flip-flop. So that's why there will be no change. Hence, there is no change in QB because flip-flop B is negatively edge triggered flip-flop. Thus, what are the now current situation of counter? It will be in 0, 1. So 0, 1 is nothing but binary equivalent of 1. Initially our count was 0. Now it becomes 1. Okay. Then when the arrival of the second negative edge clock edge. Now what happens in the second negative clock edge? Again, we will go back. Yes, I will be repeating it one more time in the next lecture as well. So don't worry about it. Okay. So now I will just finish this discussion and we will repeat it in the next session as well. Don't worry. So in the second negative clock edge, what will happen? Okay. Now what are the current state? Now currently our QA is 1 and QB is 0. Now again the next pulse will be there. That is first to ho gaya. Now second is our second clock signal. So at this negative edge, what will happen? This flip-flop is in toggle mode. We have set it in toggle mode. Toggle mode means whatever is the initial previous state, what will happen? This state will be changed from 1 to 0. Okay. Now initially, observe this. Now I am drawing the waveform for QA. Initially QA was 1. Now it becomes 0. Now this is nothing but negative edge. In earlier case, QA was like this. There was no negative edge. But in this case now, the QA is changing from 1 to 0. That means there is a negative edge. And this QA is nothing but clock signal to second flip-flop. So as soon as there is negative edge, what will happen? This flip-flop will be also in toggle mode. So this value of QB will be changing from 0 to 1. Now what are the current values? Our QB, QA will be 1, 0, which is binary equivalent of 2. Okay. Similarly, at the third negative edge, what will happen? Now after second negative edge, what's happened? The QA is now again 0, QB is 1. Now at the arrival of third negative edge, what will happen? Again it will toggle. So flip-flop A will always toggle. Always remember that. The problem is whether flip-flop B is or not. So for that, what you have to observe? You have to observe the waveform of QA. Okay. So now at the third clock edge, what will happen? This 0 will become now 1. Now tell me, initially the QA was 0 and now it is 1. So is this a positive edge or negative edge? This is positive edge since it is going from 0 to 1. So there will be no change in the positive edge because this QA is nothing but connected to clock of the flip-flop B. Right? but we know that our flip-flop is negatively edge triggered. That means only when there is a negative edge, your flip-flop output will change. But here it is positive edge, so this flip-flop output will remain as it is. So QA will be also 1 and QB will be Q suffix B will also 1. So QA, QB both will be 1, 1. So this is nothing but the binary equivalent of 3. So you can observe initially what we assumed, our count was 0, then it becomes 1, 2 and 3. And in the next cycle what happens? This one, both flip-flops will toggle. So this one becomes 0 and next one will also become 0. Okay, I will just through this particular waveform. So this is the truth table and waveform of 2-bit up counter. So since it is 2-bit, that means total count it will be 2 raised to power 2, that is maximum count will be 4. Okay, so since it is starting the count from 0, the count will be like this: 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. This will be the count. You can observe it. 0, 1, 2, 3, and then it will again reset to 0. So how many counts it has made? एक 0 count किया, बाद में 1, 2 and so 4 counts are counted by 2-bit up counter. So 2-bit is nothing but 2 raised to power 2. 2-bit means 4 count will be there, and since your count are starting from 0, it will end at 3, maximum 3 count, and in the next clock cycle again it will count 0. Okay, so since our time is already over, so whatever we have discussed so far, I will again repeat it in the next session. Okay, so just make sure that you attend that session. It is very important. And once you understood this simple mechanism, then it will be easier to understand 3-bit up counter, 4-bit up counter, similarly 2-bit down counter and 3-bit down counter and so on. Okay, so that's it for the day. If you have not understood it, then don't worry, I will explain it in the next session as well. All right, then we will conclude our session here. So thank you.